Hey guys, Languagehacker here with another 5-minute guide, and today we're going to go over Miracle Rogue. Miracle Rogue is a bit of a tougher deck to play, but I'll try to give you some tips and tricks to kind of explain what you want to be doing. And a lot of the tips will kind of apply to all matchups in general, so I don't think I'll be trying to give you specific tips for specific matchups because the deck is very, very flexible in what it can do, but I'll kind of explain what the deck does, and you have to kind of tailor that to each matchup and based on your draws and what you're facing. So, Miracle Rogue tops out at Alex, but realistically this is just a late game finisher, so really your beef here is Mancrake, Kazakus, and Jandis. Now that being said, you don't necessarily want to keep these in a lot of matchups. What you do want to be looking for is early game. Now, what early game are you looking for? Octobot, good in pretty much every matchup. Foxy Fraud plus Swindle together can be pretty good. In faster matchups, board-centric ones, you can consider keeping Foxy Fraud by itself, and hopefully find stuff like Brain Freeze, Wand Thief, Plunderer, Vanessa, or Swindle to help stay on board against those matchups. But in general, Octobot's really good because it discounts your hand, it lets you do a lot of stuff faster. 2-drops can be okay as well. Cult Neophyte in particular can be helpful against Spell Mage and a Portly Token Druid if you're seeing a lot of that as well. But in general, it can stop some other, basically anything that runs spells, really. It's pretty good against Weapon Rogue too. It can help against Priest, but generally on 2 it's not as useful. It's more of using it at specific times to stop specific board clears. For example, playing it on turn 7 when you're expecting a Soul Mirror, playing it on turn into turn 5 against Mage when they want a Pexus Blast, playing it when you think your opponent might have a big pop-off turn with Druid, and using Neophytes with stuff like Tenwu and Shadow Step can help block out some of those decks. There is a huge damage combo you can do, which is double discounted Octobot on Alex and Tenwu with double steps. You can go 7 mana Alex, 0 mana Tenwu, Alex again for 1, step the Tenwu, Alex for 1 again, and final step on the Tenwu to get Alex again for 1, which is 32. But you never really have time to do that against many decks, and a lot of decks can disrupt you in that sort of game plan. So even though this deck has like a large amount of damage potential, and if you also include double stabs on that as well, what you really want to be doing with this deck is just do everything as fast as possible. And by that I mean get stuff on the board. Octobot, 2-drops, whatever. You can cycle a lot with Field Contact. So you don't want to be playing Field Contact just to cycle 1 or 2 cards unless you're in a very, very problematic board state where you kind of need to get stuff going. But you generally want to play Field Contact when you get a few draws on it, or when you need to push so aggressively for tempo that it blocks your opponent from doing stuff. You have Secret Passage for extra card draw. That with Field Contact will help you get through your deck pretty quickly. And don't be afraid to use Secret Passage just on turn 4 or 5 or 6 to get stuff out of your deck onto the board. Sometimes you don't have hands that actually do a whole lot. You have maybe your hands double Field Contact, double Shadow Step, and you're like, oh, I don't know, what do I do? Well, just ship a Secret Passage, play some stuff from your deck. Doesn't have to be the nuts. Just make sure you spend mana as much as you can every single turn. One of the powerful things about this deck is that I can keep creating waves of stuff, and it's just so incredibly frustrating because it can draw its whole deck very, very quickly and then keep presenting waves of threats that, while your opponents may be able to deal with some of these threats, if you're drawing your whole deck before they are, generally they're going to run out of stuff that deal with your stuff. So play for tempo. Make sure you draw a lot with Field Contacts, Passage, Swindle. Octobot's very, very important in tempo matchups, and you want to be playing it on curve. But in some matchups, if you are afraid that this can get removed, for example, by a Devolving Missiles, Combustion, whatever, stuff like that, you can consider holding it and then activating it yourself with Guardian Aug Merchant or Prize Plunder. On your pop-off turns with Field Contact, you can also consider Aug Merchanting the contact, which deals 1 damage to it, but it gives it Divine Shield, which is harder to remove. It makes the Field Contact harder to remove. Kazakus tips. 1 mana golems can actually be pretty flexible and nice. Never go for 10-drops. There are some very, very small cases where 10-drops can be useful, but just go for 5s or 1s. 5s are generally pretty solid. 1s can help you kind of squeeze in a bit of extra tempo in tempo-heavy matchups, and 1s can also help with Field Contact. You can play a 1 because it's a Battle Cry. The Golems have Battle Cries, and then draw off of that, and you can step the Golem and play that as well. Now you may be asking, well, Languagehacker, there's some pretty cool cards here like 10-1 Shadow Step. What am I supposed to use it on? Short answer, it depends. Long answer, you kind of have to evaluate where you are in the game and decide if you need to play it for more value, for more generation from Wand Thief, if you needed to Shadow Step a Battle Cry to cycle more with Field Contact, if you need to cycle Shadow Step the Prize Plunders to help remove more stuff on board. It really depends on the board state. And as you play the deck more, you'll kind of understand when you need to use it for what purposes. But don't be afraid to use resources for tempo. Don't be afraid to use resources to draw cards. And don't be afraid to use resources to remove stuff on board. Ultimately, the deck does a combination of these three things, and then it'll eventually close out the game with burst damage from Alex's finisher, double Wicked Stabs, and then just chip damage from minions and then Crick as well. The deck is quite intricate to play, and different matchups play out very, very differently as well. And in 5 minutes, I can't tell you how to play all the matchups, but understand if you need to be a lot faster, because if you're against decks like Rush Warrior, Token Druid, you might need to get on the board ASAP and start doing stuff. But you also don't want to go all in with your resources, and then you're left with a Field Contact in hand and nothing else, realizing that, well, I can't cycle now. So you do need to push tempo, but try to figure out when you can hold stuff back for the Field Contact, when you need to set up for more combo-eat style turns. Yeah, that's Miracle Rogue in 5 minutes. Yeah, let me know what other decks you guys are interested in having these guides for. Comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you thought of the video. Let me know if there's specific things you want me to be talking more about in these guides. And yeah, see you next time. See you next time.